Picture this. It's June 12th, 2005. A sea of black caps and gowns fills Stanford Stadium. The air buzzes with anticipation. And then, a man in a simple black turtleneck steps to the podium. Steve Jobs, the genius behind Apple, a name synonymous with innovation. He's not here to talk tech, though. In just 15 minutes, he'll share 3 stories. Raw, personal, and unexpectedly profound. This is his Stanford Commencement Address, a speech that's echoed around the world. Let's dive in. Steve kicks off with his first story, connecting the dots. He starts with a confession. He never graduated college. Born to a young, unwed mother, adopted by a working-class couple in California, Steve enrolled at Reed College in 1972. But after 6 months, he dropped out. "I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life," he admits, and no idea how college was going to help me figure out. His parents had saved every penny for his tuition, and he couldn't bear wasting it. So he left, but he didn't stop learning. For 18 months, he hung around Reed, sleeping on friends' floors, returning Coke bottles for 5-cent deposits to buy food. He audited classes that intrigued him, like calligraphy, beautiful handwriting with its curves and flourishes. Fast forward 10 years. It's 1984, and Steve's designing the first Macintosh computer. That random calligraphy course? It inspires the Mac's elegant typography, fonts like Helvetica and Times New Roman that we now take for granted. Back at Reed, it didn't feel like a master plan. It was just a curious detour. But Steve tells the graduates, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward. Think about that. Life's a puzzle, and the pieces don't make sense in the moment. Dropping out led him to Apple. Calligraphy shaped a tech revolution. His advice? Trust the journey. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever, he says. Because one day, those messy dots might just form a picture you never imagined. Story 2 is about love and loss. Steve takes us back to his 20s. At 20, he and his friend Steve Wozniak, started Apple in his parents' garage. Picture it, 2 scrappy kids tinkering with circuit boards, dreaming big. 10 years later, Apple's a $2 billion company with 4,000 employees. The Macintosh is a hit. Steve's on top of the world. Then, at 30, it all crashes down. He's fired from Apple, the company he poured his soul into. A disagreement with the board, a power struggle, and suddenly he's out. Publicly humiliated. I didn't see it then, he says, but it turned out that getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have happened to me. Devastated, he could have given up. Instead, he started over. He founded Next, a new computer company, and poured his energy into Pixar, a struggling animation studio. Pixar gave us Toy Story, the world's first feature-length computer-animated film, and became a juggernaut. Along the way, he met Laurene Powell, the love of his life. And here's the twist. Apple, floundering without him, bought Next in 1997, bringing Steve back to lead it to new heights. Reflecting on it, Steve says, the heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again, less sure about everything. Loss freed him to take risks, to rediscover what he loved. His lesson? You've got to find what you love, he tells the grads. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. Steve's third story is the heaviest, death. He starts with a memory from 17, reading a quote. If you live each day as if it was your last, someday you'll most certainly be right. It hit him hard. For decades, he'd look in a mirror each morning and ask, if today were my last day, would I want to do what I'm about to do? If the answer was no too many days in a row, he'd change something. Then in 2004, death stopped being an idea. Doctors found a tumor in his pancreas. Cancer. They told him it was incurable, that he had 3 to 6 months. I lived with that diagnosis all day, he says. He prepared to say goodbye, but a biopsy later revealed it was a rare, operable form. Surgery saved him for a while. That brush with mortality sharpened his focus. He tells the graduates, Death is very likely the single best invention of life. It's life's change agent. It clears out the old to make way for the new. At 50, he's the old, they're the new. But the message is universal. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. He warns against traps, dogma, other people's expectations. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice, he says. Have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Death, he insists, isn't to be feared. It's a reminder to live boldly. Steve ends with a nod to his youth. In the 70s, he loved the Whole Earth catalog, a counterculture guidebook like Google in paperback. Its final issue, in 1974, had a photo of a country road at dawn and 4 words on the back: stay hungry, stay foolish. I've always wished that for myself, he says, and now, as you graduate to begin anew, I wish that for you. With that, he steps back, leaving the graduates and us with a challenge. Trust your path, even when it's unclear. Love your work, even through loss. Live fully, knowing time is finite. Steve Jobs didn't promise success that day. He shared failures, fears, and fleeting joys, proof that life's messiest moments can weave into something extraordinary. Stay hungry, stay foolish, because as he showed us, the dots always connect in the end.